another vacant building in this community. We've got a lot of churches done. So I'm against it, the ordinance, and
Thank you,
that's
Mayor.
all I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak on this subject before we do a roll call?
I would say I have lived 2 doors up from that corner, and it has a posted 15-mile-per-hour speed zone, and it's not just necessarily at school time. It's just you have to be careful coming down over the hill. I think it's a courtesy, and we should be, as a courtesy and as a neighborhood courtesy, that this should just be gotten rid of. We need to have that parking, and again, it's 4 hours, and you don't see people parking there any other time. It's just that you have to be aware that it's just 4 hours out of a week. And to walk up that hill, I mean, I'm a walker about town, everywhere about this town, that is a pretty steep grade. And for anyone, to have our parking lot down there, I think that all started down when we had a church, how many years ago? 113 years ago. That's where the church. There was an old church sitting there when I came into this town, which has been many years, as you can tell.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a quick question. This would be for the mayor.
Okay.
If I can address.
Go right ahead.
So, in the fair interest of compromise and fairness, I hear everything you're saying, and I don't want this to be a larger problem. I had a resident one time tell me, and this person was I've only been here 3 years, going on 4. So this person told me that there used to be a traffic cop that used to direct traffic for busy church days. Is this anything that we could be able? Do you know? I'm just asking an open-ended question.
Yeah, there could be, we used to direct traffic at Cornell and North Linwood on Sundays. We would direct traffic, override the traffic light to clear all the traffic out from St. Philip.
Okay.
Okay? Could that happen again? Sure it could.
I'm just, this is the place for this kind of thing to happen. I'm asking, maybe could we find a way to try to enforce some of the issues from the residents that maybe.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I guarantee you that the enforcement is going to be moved up as far as to the parking on that street on Sundays, because you get the latecomers that decide to park in the fire lane or block the fire lane and stuff like that. Parking the crosswalk, that's going to be enforced. And would you pass that on to the people in the church that, there'll be enforcement?
That's very fair. Thank you.
So just to finalize it, so if I understand this right, we've tabled Cornell because we want more information on that right-hand turn. It's not really a parking issue, it's more so what it is to have the contiguous turn there.
Right.
If we vote this down for this section of West Steuben, we still will be following through to look into PennDOT, moving the lines and looking at some other things. If it becomes a nuisance and a problem in the community, we can always bring this back to vote again. We don't need to table this in order to look into those other issues. We can vote it down tonight and it can be brought back at a later point, right?
Yeah, to be clear, it wouldn't be PennDOT, it would be us.
But
Whoever
yes.
it is that's
Yes,
painting.
yes.
said
Well, I mean,
something.
we're more accessible than PennDOT, so.
Should this ordinance be voted down, there is nothing stopping this body from moving to look at other solutions.
I think that's a wonderful solution.
All right,
May I have a motion to table the current motion?
we have a motion to table.
Let's just vote it. Let's just get rid of it, man. We're just
Well,
putting it off.
there's no
You're
debate.
gonna table it, you're
Hold
just
on,
putting it off.
Fred, we have an undebatable motion to table, and we need to take a vote on whether we're going to table it. Okay?
Is
So
it
a
second?
roll call, it has been seconded, so we're going to take a roll call vote on the motion to table.
All right, this is a true parliamentary inquiry. Are we tabling this in the hopes that we're going to come back with more information from Gateway?
Yes.
I think that
That's
not
every
against
single
that.
individual.
I'm against
attitude. Hold
wasting
on.
money.
Okay, stop. We have a roll call vote.
That's not a parliamentary inquiry.
Okay?
Point of information.
Am I going?
Yes, you are going.
All right, Mr. Kraus to table this motion, yes or no?
Yes.
Ms. Damitz,
Yes.
Ms. Glosser,
No.
Mr. Lavasser,
Yes.
Mr. Valchef,
No.
Mr. Amendola,
No.
Ms. Perry.
No.
That is a 4-3, so we are back to the ordinance.
Call for a vote.
Roll call vote on the motion at hand.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes, I vote in favor.
Ms. Damitz,
No.
Ms. Glosser,
Clarify that.
Okay, we have a motion back on the table, and do we prohibit parking? That is a yes vote. If we do not want to prohibit parking, that is a no vote. Have I said that correctly?
Wait a minute, say that.
If you support the ordinance, it's a yes.
Okay.
Do you oppose the ordinance that's amended? I think you oppose the.
Parking, yes.
Yes.
We-
No.
that's a-
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Wanted
sure.
to make certain I had that
You're
clarified.
very welcome.
I got that. Mr. Lavasser,
So, may I ask a question? Or no? Or is-
No, we're in a vote here.
Okay, we're voting. Okay, no.
Mr. Valchef,
No.
Mr. Amendola.
No.
Ms. Perry.
No.
So that's 6-1 against the ordinance.
It's not my night.
Mr. Lavasser, do you have?
I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you.
I'd like a motion to prepare a study consisting of of a group consisting of the solicitor, the manager, the engineer, with 2 members of council, including Mr. Valchef and myself, to evaluate the options to possible safety improvements for the areas as described as the westerly side of the Cornell Avenue between Broad Avenue and 55 Cornell Avenue, and the westerly side of West Crafton Avenue between Steuben Street and the intersection of West Crafton Avenue. and Cornell
You were
Avenue.
talking really fast, and we're
Do you
gonna
have
have
it
to
written
write
down?
all of this out.
You have it
So-
written
And
down?
on the video, and I
Yes.
wrote it down.
Okay, so-
Okay.
Do the first meeting in October of 2019.
I second that motion.
Okay, so,
Yes.
so would you like to change that to on or before October 1st?
Yeah, that's,
I had a little whisper here that it would go faster
They
than that.
will walk out there and take some measuring tape, and it will
So,
be done
Yeah,
very
but
quickly.
you-
so can we say on or before?
on or before.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm
All right,
saying
do we have a
that-
second?
I agree, I seconded and I agree to amend it.
Okay. So this is a new motion, so we have to take public comment. Does anyone want to make comment about this proposed motion?
I think he said the westerly side of
I'm sorry, we need the microphone and you to identify yourself.
It is, I know what you're gonna say, it is the easterly side.
Yes,
Yep,
east side, yeah.
that's in the ordinance, yeah. That, we don't need to comment.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Anyone else?
Are we considering?
Sir? Hold on.
Hi, I'm Andrew Riley, resident of Crafton Boulevard. I think to throw in this mix, sorry to make it a bigger mix, I think there's a PennDOT project going on to redo traffic signals.
That is a
around town.
grant that we are doing with them.
Pardon?
That is a grant that we have, well, 4 actually.
One of them is actually to replace that traffic signal at Linwood and Cornell. I think, I'm a civil engineer, I can tell you that traffic signal, should be just be replaced with stop signs. It's not really needed, it could be a 4-way stop sign, which would actually help traffic move through the area and out of church and et cetera. So just to expand your question of the study for that whole area, I would look at have PennDOT or the engineer who can then work with PennDOT, look at that as well. So that was my
Thank you.
2 cents.
Thank you
Also,
very much.
in favor of relocating the center line over so that there can be a lane of parking along, 1 lane of parking along.
Thank you very much. All right, any other discussion on this motion?
Yes. I think it's a waste of money to involve the engineers and the meetings and everything. It's pretty simple, talk with the police chief. the chief of police and the mayor. Find out that maybe, you know, they can enforce that yellow line down there. You know, we don't need to bring the engineers in and spend and waste more money and make this much bigger than it is. It's a very simple situation here. Talk with the mayor and the police chief.
As a
and-
point of information, thank you, Fred. Do you have some estimate of what you think the engineering cost if we include Gateway?
Forget about it.
It's probably gonna be a day's worth, you know, a couple of hours of them coming out and measuring things. And I do just wanna put a point of clarification out that the discussion of whether moving a center line was possible never involved the section of Cornell Avenue. It was just West Crafton Avenue, Church Hill. So, the center line did not consider the first parking ordinance that was up. Okay, just so we're clear on that. I don't know, maybe a couple $100.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on the motion as well, if I can have the floor. So, we just decided that we are going to research the yellow line, which is, in my humble opinion, probably the smaller of the two issues at hand, and that we kick the can down the road on the longer.
I don't believe that that's what we've done.
So
If you
we-
listen
we-
to
just to
what the
clarify.
motion, okay,
If I may.
all right.
This is my time. So we said that the first motion from 55 Crennel to Broadhead, that there's a line there, and we are going to have.
Then we're talking about, that there has been mention of a painted line,
Yes.
and I believe that what the motion is for looking to alternatives
Yes,
to address the issue.
correct.
And I don't believe that there were any limits set in that motion, am I?
No, and then, I was gonna say, I think the entire intent of everybody in this room is to seek compromise and it be legal, right?
I would say so, and not limit it to
Can I
one or two things that have been introduced here.
For record keeping, so the people that are on this traffic study committee are the engineer, the solicitor, myself, the public works director, Councilman Lavasser, and Councilman
No, not Public Works
Balsha.
Director, it's Mr. Balsha
Okay,
and
so
myself.
not the public works director.
You gotta
but
get
this
7
also
people together for a
includes
meeting.
Councilman Lavasser and Councilman Balsha, that's what we're, that's the motion, right?
All right, can we just have some order here, please? All right, we understand your opinion loud and clear, and we respect it, Fred.
The mayor and the chief are the experts.
All right, so we have the mayor and we have the chief on this.
We can
Not
amend the motion
Mr.
to
McLeod.
include.
My point was that this
Or
is,
Mr.
we have the engineers
Kraus.
do, it'll be nonpartisan, is what I was trying to get to.
Exactly.
I was trying to get there, that let's just let them come back, present the facts. If we vote no, we vote no, that's fine. I think that, you know, the conversation that you and I were trying to have about maybe opting for, you know, see if we can have an officer, maybe if there's an event at the church, or there's a wedding on a Friday or a Saturday, it's gonna be an overflow day, we need someone to help move things through. I think there should be some options on the table. So if we can kind of maybe, we've heard both sides of the argument, the points were well made, we've had emails to this effect, we've had residents come here passionately, we've had the pastor speak. So let's let the engineers give us facts, and we'll go from the facts.
Any other comments?
And talk about, you know, trying to even the playing field or leveling any kind of bias. I think it's fair to have somebody that is on council that lives down in that immediate vicinity, and then somebody that doesn't. If you notice here, we have a majority of council that lives in that immediate vicinity, so.
Maybe not a majority.
No, there is a majority, there is a
And you don't see us in here complaining
That's
about
true.
parking. None of us have
So-
been in
so-
here
so I
complaining
think-
about parking.
so I
Fred,
think-
please.
You live
So I
up on
think-
Clearview.
Right, so
Order.
to that, and having, you know, the solicitor, the manager, and the engineer all provide their, you know, professional opinions. And if you'd like to amend the motion to include the mayor, we can do so as well, if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think the mayor should be included, obviously, his perspective
Can we
is.
hear amendment?
I do want to say I'm happy to counsel you guys on anything, but I don't have any professional expertise on turn radius that I can particularly really into this study.
All right, but you'll be the administrative person.
Yes,
on
I can be
this,
the point of
and
contact.
To speak to the point, you don't all have to get together at the same time. There are remote meeting options and email and that sort of thing. So, anyway, at that point, let's have a vote on this motion to re-examine, including everything that was in that motion, 4 options for these 2 areas.
The one area,
No,
Cornell.
we have a motion for the whole area, do we not?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not,
Yes.
and it's not to
You
say
mean to
any
include the
action will
lines?
be, it's not to say any action will be taken, we are evaluating any possible.
Right, and coming back to make
Can we
recommendations.
just clarify for the record? Parking is not going anywhere. There's no changes being made
Not
at all.
tonight.
Period. It was voted down
It
tonight.
was voted
Right.
down.
Right, it is
in
going
front
to
of the
be
church is
explored
voted down.
further if there's other action that could be taken to help make it a safer and better place to live. That's it.
On Cornell.
On all of it.
On
On all of it.
on West Crafton.
But the motion was knocked down for stupid. Okay?
All right.
and
Right.
West Crafton.
Yes.
It's Crafton, that's it.
All right.
All right,
Can we have a roll
what
call
am I gonna-
vote on this,
Yes.
please?
All right, Mr. Kraus.
Yes.
Ms. Dammit.
Yes.
Ms. Glosser.
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser.
Yes.
Are you gonna vote yes? All right, Mr. Valchef.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola.
No.
No, and Ms. Perry.
Yes.
That is 6-1. Motion to, a lengthy study passes.
All right. Moving on to public, wait, did I miss anything?
No, you
Nope.
got it. It's public
Moving on to
works.
Public Works, motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between Crafton Borough and Teamsters Local Union Number 249 for a 4-year term commencing April 3rd, 2019. That is a retroactive date, that is correct, and ending March 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion, questions? Roll call vote.
Mr. Kraus.
Yes.
Ms. Dammit.
Yes.
Ms. Glosser.
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser.
Yes.
Mr. Valchef.
Yes.
Mr. Amendola.
Yes.
Ms. Perry.
Yes.
7-0. Look at that.
All right. Moving on to discussion items. Year 46 CDBG pre-application topics. Are you going to introduce this?
Yeah, so, the short version of this is a grant that comes around every year, Community Development Block Grant. There are a couple different things that you can apply for under it. We typically make this under the Char West COG, a group application. The COG manages the application process for us. Typically, we use this for handicap, ADA accessible ramps. We've got a grant out this year for it. Those are the ones that we're kind of doing around the circle. Dare I say it, West Crafton area, and Crennel and Linwood. I mean, that would be my recommendation. There's, you could go after a demolition grant. However, they're much more difficult to get now, and the county prefers that those grant applications be made separate from the group COG applications, just because they're so much more involved. Pretty much the notification that the pre-app is coming out hits your inbox about 3 weeks before it's due. So, in general, I would say that we should work with the engineers to sort of build out a plan of the next couple of years. We're gonna apply for this in 2020, this in 2021, and so on and so forth. But, my suggestion is that because we have sort of a limited time this year, we just target some more ADA accessible, ramp upgrades, but of course, the floor is open for.
So if it comes out every year and people are disappointed with the selection of those ramps, they can rest assured that it's likely to come out next year as well. So they could come forward and say, hey, you forgot this intersection, which is super critical.
Yeah.
Why don't you get that next year? But you have a good plan to take care of what you need to get done in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Any other comments or
Yes.
discussion points about this?
Yeah, it's a
Can we
question.
get the one done, the bottom of Churchill done?
That is included in this year's grant.
Well, I mean, when can we get it done? I mean, there's
So basically,
people that
it's
get down
in
there every
the,
day in wheelchairs that can't
Marcia,
get down there.
the manager said it is in the grant application for this year. The timing, when we will hear about it, will be whether it's accepted or not.
It was accepted, we talked about that. I think it may have been the one thing that I gave you to read
Yeah,
while I was gone. So,
so it has been
that was in
accepted.
June. Design was submitted last week by the engineers to the county.
Okay, so it is moving forward and will be done in this cycle.
Yeah, we were already awarded.
Right, exactly.
So, question for the manager, if I may?
Sure.
The funds that are allowed here, are we allowed to use them for building improvements or just, what are the?
I would have to go back and look. I know historically we have not. Is there something in particular you have in mind?
Yeah, the main building needs to be pointed, and I was wondering if that could be,
So,
this building?
yeah,
the
so,
way, the
can I
way
just
that,
finish? So, I know that Ingram used the funds to put in a new glass door, so I was just curious, like, what options do we have, what's eligible, and then if we could just maybe possibly talk about that.
so the way that the eligibility for these grants are determined is based on low and middle income, low to moderate income in census tracts. So when you're looking at a particular improvement that isn't just like a general public accessibility, which is why handicap, ADA accessible is the correct term, which is why ADA accessible ramps typically are targeted, is because you do not have to do a door knocking income study. That's just a public infrastructure improvement. The only person that pointing may help would be me, because my window would stop raining every time it rains. But so, I mean, I think that like we would have to make an argument of what public households would be improved by any sort of grant application that we put in, and then we would need to do an income study for something that was not a more general use, like doing something for the community center, for example, or that building. That's a lot more easy to say, this is a public good, this is something that anybody in the community could regularly access, that you would possibly be exempt from that.
Is it fair to say that we have several years' worth of backlog on ADA compliant ramps?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd venture to guess that, yeah.
Seems like that's a good, it's a good, quick, easy win to continue on
Yeah,
that
well, we
path.
do it year over year. I was just curious to see if there's any other options, because we also have asbestos and lead paint abatement and other things. I was just curious to see.
So there may be
In
Other-
the
What the
building,
eligibility was. I
I
thought,
thought we're clear.
to your point, and to your point with regards to doing the easy thing, yes, the ADA grants are the easy thing and pretty insurable. However, what piqued my interest was when I was speaking with the Ingram Council, when he said that they were applying to make general improvements to their public facilities. I was just curious what that.
So they were applying into this year? Or they had
Last year and this year,
grant,
right,
so it was awarded to them?
for my understanding.
Okay. Can we look into that?
I would recommend that we slot these things for the next couple years in a more comprehensive
Absolutely, but
plan.
can we verify what Philip heard?
Yeah, again, that sounds more likely than roofing, because theoretically, anybody from the public would be accessing that doorway to come into the building. So I can see that.
we can certainly
Call them, yeah.
look into that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion on this topic or any other? Marcia?
Yes, the painting of the curbs up on Bradford, by the Bradford apartment, there are curbs that have been painted there. And I asked Rob about it, and he said he has no idea who did it. So, I mean, is there something that needs to be done, that people just don't go paint their own yellow curb?
I have no idea, Marcia. I have no idea. So what you're saying is the Bradford Apartments my
Bradford-
next door neighbors.
Yes.
And you're saying that
The
they're
current-
big, they have that big driveway going in, and you're saying there's yellow on either side
Yeah.
of
And
those.
then in the school, there's a couple yellow curbs that have been painted.
At the school.
Not at the school before you get to the school.
And our public works director has said he knows nothing about
He said
them.
he wasn't them.
They don't typically paint.
So,
There's maybe one call?
One call wouldn't
It's not
do a
one call.
curb paint, that'd be more like
can
when
we
they
look
spray
into
the
this
orange.
then? Can we just
Yeah.
take it down and look into it and report back?
Yellow curbs by Bradford Courts and by the school. Yes?
Before the school, it's up to the alley, where they've got different spots painted.
So you're checking on Noble?
No.
No, on Crafton
Using on
Borough,
Crafton, just so-
on either side of the
Yes.
alley, is that what you're saying? Okay, yes, I can attest to those being there,
May I ask a question?
please.
Marcia, are you talking going, let's say, up Crafton Boulevard
Yes.
on the right side, by the alley that goes behind Bradford Court? Is that what you're?
Well, there is some by that house, one house is painted, and then on the left-hand side, there's yellow curb painted.
So you're talking
On the
about the
Bradford
alley
Avenue
on the
side.
school side?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I think that, and I'm correct, that where you're talking about at the alley, that was painted for the garbage trucks, for access for the garbage trucks to be able to get in that narrow alley to collect the garbage.
And I know that
think that's
there's,
when it was done years ago. Okay.
so we'll look into that.
Yeah.
And then I would bet that it would be the same thing at the Bradford Apartments, because there is an angle issue that large trucks, moving trucks, I can't tell you how many times we've
Get
been
started.
able to pop popcorn and watch people have to unload their trucks in order to be able to get the moving
You're
truck.
not really
out.
doing that though, right?
What, we're not really moving? Many times, I can see that from my kitchen window, and I have seen that more times in the last 25 years.
Same thing at the church, nobody knows who put it there.
Right,
you know,
so
who's
we'll
the-
look into the reasons for them and figure that out. And Fred, did you
Yeah,
have?
so a few meetings ago, I believe that we talked about reconstituting the blight committee.
Mhm.
So I wanted to give an update on that. I reached out with RJ, she gave me some of the members of the previous, so for context, we had a committee last summer, it was really beneficial, where we had members of the public, and then I think Alice was there, Coletta was at some meetings, and then we just basically were kind of digesting and working over some of the ideas in the comprehensive plan in regards to blight remediation in the borough, and then kicking those ideas up back to council to see the viability of which ones could be implemented, how fast, which ones were not things we could do, or needed county assistance and so have you. So I just wanted to say that I'm shooting for August 21st here in this chambers at 7 o'clock. It'll at least be me by myself. If somebody from the community would like to attend, it's open for anybody who wants to come. I've reached out to some of the people who were in the meeting, at the meetings last summer. So there's definitely some interest there, and I think RJ is gonna follow up with me with some of the heat maps and documents that we had from last year, so at least we can start it off with just something that we can talk about and kind of, as you stated earlier, refine and not forget about the comprehensive plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else that anyone would
I
like to
just
discuss?
reporting back on a couple things. Alice and I had a committee to work on the descriptions for appointed positions and that sort of thing. The kind of roadblock that we ran into, and it's kind of back to the website, there's nowhere that we can find where there's a mission statement for Crafton. Is there one, and can that be made onto the public website?
A mission statement for the Crafton Borough?
Crafton Borough, yeah.
I doubt that there is one.
Well, do you mean a vision statement, of which we could craft one as well, but, I mean,
So we have no mission or vision in the Crafton Borough?
I would expect a vision statement perhaps from a local government. A mission statement might be to govern. But I mean,
that's essentially, you,
like,
I would
you know.
laugh at this, I would not laugh at
I'm
this.
trying to be
Eric,
serious. It's-
For the last number of years, that's why we're looking at a comprehensive plan and various other things that include communication.
Yes.
And I think that basically this borough and many other boroughs in this state are